The day was dusty and hot, sunlight burning across the schoolyard. Daniel sat under the mango tree beside the classroom, sketching in his notebook, the way he always did when the noise around him was too much. He was calm, observant, tall and slim, handsome without trying, with soft eyes that noticed details most people missed. He carried himself gently, like someone who never wanted to take up too much space. Chidi arrived. He walked differently, steady, confident, like the world would adjust for him if it had to. Broad shoulders, strong arms, athletic build. The type people noticed instantly. They had known each other for so long that nobody remembered when it started. To everyone else, they were simply two boys who grew up together. Just friends, nothing more. But inside, things were quieter, heavier. The quiet that hurt. Sometimes when they walked home, Daniel would glance at Chidi, not intentionally, just by accident, and notice the way the sunlight touched his smile. Something warm would bloom in his chest, warm and painful. He never let it show. He laughed, he joked, he teased, but a part of him stayed hidden, tucked carefully behind his ribs, because saying the truth out loud felt dangerous. What if Chidi laughed? What if everything broke? So Daniel learned to keep love silent. Chidi wasn't as clueless as he pretended. Whenever their shoulders brushed, whenever Daniel leaned close to show him something, whenever the laughter faded into quiet, a spark moved inside him. Not loud, not obvious, just there. And instead of listening to it, he swallowed it, smiled it away. Don't ruin this, he told himself, because losing Chidi wasn't an option, even if it meant staying confused. So both cared deeply. Both wondered. Neither spoke, and silence began to grow between them. Soft, careful, dangerous. One evening, the sky threatened rain, heavy and dark. They waited beneath the old mango tree, their unofficial spot. They talked about little things, football, annoying teachers, dreams disguised as jokes. Sometimes their hands brushed. Neither pulled away, but neither held on. Daniel's heart raced. Chidi pretended not to notice. The air felt full, like something wanted to happen but didn't know how. Then Chidi said quietly, "I don't ever want us to change." He didn't look at Daniel. Daniel smiled softly. Me neither. What they meant but never said, "I love this. I'm scared. Please don't disappear." So they stayed silent, and silence deepened. Then Amaka. Midterm, a new girl arrived. Amaka. Confident walk, easy smile, eyes that scanned the room like she already owned it. The first time she spoke to Chidi, she tilted her head, a choice already made. "You're Chidi, right? Help me find the library." Daniel watched from a distance. She laughed louder around Chidi, stood closer, always leaned in. She barely acknowledged Daniel. Something twisted quietly in his chest. He told himself, it doesn't matter. But it did. Slowly, she slipped in. It begins quietly, like something small slipping out of place. At first, Daniel barely noticed. Chidi missed one walk home, then two. Then suddenly, Amaka was always there. Bright smile, loud laugh, hands everywhere. "Come sit with me. Let's go here. You don't need to wait for him today." Chidi would glance towards Daniel, hesitant. Daniel always shrugged. "It's fine, go." He smiled when he said it, but the smile never reached his eyes. The slow drift. Lunch breaks used to belong to them.
Now, Daniel watched from across the courtyard, Chidi listening while Amaka talked and talked, twirling her hair around her finger like it was a promise. Sometimes Chidi laughed, but it was different, forced, careful, not the wild laugh Daniel loved. And every time their eyes accidentally met across the yard, Chidi looked away first. Daniel started sitting under the mango tree alone, pretending he liked the quiet, pretending it didn't hurt. Chidi noticed the distance too, and hated it, but every time he tried to pull back from Amaka, she tightened. Weeks passed. Amaka began appearing everywhere, waiting outside his class, saving seats, calling for help she didn't really need. Daniel became the extra person. One afternoon, she slipped her arm through Chidi's. Daniel bent down, pretending to tie his shoelace. Later, Chidi asked, "You okay?" Daniel smiled. "Yeah, just tired." But the thought hurt. How can I lose something I never even admitted I wanted? Amaka liked attention, and she liked winning. She didn't know Chidi's confused feelings and didn't care. She only wanted him to herself. "Let's hang out, just us. Daniel is always busy. You don't need to be with him all the time." When Chidi hesitated, she asked, "Do you like me or not?" He did like her, in a simple, expected way. And confusion is exhausting. So he drifted. Not to hurt Chidi, but to escape the storm inside him. Suddenly, Daniel wasn't part of everything anymore. No more walking home together, no late-night messages, no long conversations. One afternoon, Daniel waited outside class like always. Chidi stepped out, Amaka already hooked on his arm. She smiled sweetly at Daniel. "Sorry, we already made plans." Daniel opened his mouth, closed it. "Okay, no problem." He walked away before either of them noticed how tight his chest felt. Daniel finally made a decision. If Chidi wanted space, he would give it. Not to punish, but to protect what little they still had. So he stopped calling first, stopped waiting, stopped hoping. And he practiced saying out loud in the quiet of his room, "He deserves his own life. I'll be fine." Chidi noticed. Chidi saw it, the empty seat, the quiet room, the smile that no longer reached Daniel's eyes. Amaka filled his days, but not his heart. Sometimes, when she spoke, his mind drifted back to Daniel's laugh, Daniel's calm, and guilt crept in. One evening, watching the sunset, he whispered, "When did I lose you?" He didn't realize he was the one who walked away. Later that night, Chidi stared at his phone. He typed, "You free?" Then deleted. Typed again, deleted. Finally, he tossed the phone aside and told himself, he probably doesn't care. He was wrong. Weeks passed. Confusion, a constant ache he couldn't ignore anymore. Amaka was talking, excited, dramatic, planning their weekend, but Chidi wasn't really listening. His mind kept drifting back to Daniel walking away days ago. The empty space at his side, the way laughter didn't feel real without him. By the time thunder rolled across the sky, his heart had already decided. He stood up suddenly. "I need to go." Amaka frowned. "Now? But..." "I just need to." He didn't explain, didn't think. He just walked. Out into the storm. Towards the one he'd been running from. Towards the truth he couldn't bury anymore. Towards Daniel. And that is where the rain truly began. By the time Chidi reached Daniel Street, the rain had soaked him completely. His shirt clung to his skin, his shoes squished with every step. His chest felt heavier than the clouds above. He stopped in front of Daniel's house. For a second, he almost turned back. What if he doesn't want to see me? What if I'm too late? Lightning flashed. He took a breath. and knocked. Once, twice. The door opened. Daniel stood there, framed by the warm light behind him, surprised, quiet, unsure whether to smile or worry. Chidi. His voice was soft, like he was afraid to break the moment. Chidi swallowed. Hey! The rain roared between them. Daniel stepped aside. Come in. Inside, the door closed. Everything went still. Chidi stood there dripping, the water rolling down his arms, his breath uneven. Daniel fetched a towel without saying a word and handed it to him. Their fingers brushed. That tiny touch carried months of silence, jealousy, confusion, missed chances. Thanks.